What's up, guys? Welcome to Get Heavy Podcast. Today, look at this. Are you frozen, John? It's the weirdo version. I have no facial hair for the first time in 20 years.
I have the most facial hair on the podcast.
Right. Yeah.
I still have the same amount of facial hair I've had since the 9th grade.
Since you were since I met you over 20 years ago.
Yeah. I haven't been able to grow any facial hair in my life.
So today we got our good
just
friend.
Isn't all white trashy like that? Is that just like a normal? That's just like a gene or something like that.
I got like the Kid Rock thing, dude. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Today we have on the podcast Mr. Jojo Ackermann. He is a I don't know, what are you in, tattooer? You're a tattooer. You've been doing it for 25 years. He's a co-owner of 10,000 Waves Tattoo down there, and is it Sherman Oaks? What do they call that?
Yeah,
Sherman Oaks. He does all of our stuff. He's been doing tattoos for many years. Old punk rocker, hardcore kid, angry motherfucker, just like all of us sometimes. You know, you've somehow found Zen, it seems like, recently. You know?
I've known Joe for over 20 years, and he's done 90% of my tattoos.
Right. So how are you, Jojo? I mean, it's been a weird few months, huh?
This has been the weirdest few months of my whole life. I'm 3 weeks out of turning 50, and I can't think of a weirder time I've ever been alive. So, yeah, it's strange.
Right.
I became a grandfather right when the COVID-19 thing hit, and my daughter gave birth to our grandson 3 weeks prematurely, and he was in the hospital in the NICU for about a week and a half, and then when we brought him home, that was like 3 days later. That's when they announced the shutdown.
Wow.
So we got him home just in time before all that shit happened, so we're pretty grateful for that.
That's amazing, man. So how does it feel to be a grandpa? Is it everyone? It seems like the best deal, honestly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Honestly,
what's it like?
You know,
Tell me about it.
With all the stuff that's going on, it's like I want to be more of a grandpa, you know, like I want to pick him up and hug him, but you know, man, with the way things are going, you know, it just that's not really a feasible thing. But he's here in the house, and I talk to him all the time, and he makes baby grunts at me, and he, like, you know, he wants to say stuff. He smiles, he laughs, he's very intuitive of like who his family is and who we all are, and you know, he's been stuck in the house with us as much as we've been stuck here. So it's actually pretty good. I call him a medicine ball, because like if they're having a bad day, man, you just go over there and check him out. Dude. It's over, man. It's like he's the cure all, you know.
Yeah.
So it's awesome. It's awesome having him here. And I don't know, being a grandpa for me, I think I'm kind of cut out for this shit because I love it, you know. So yeah. I think I'm into it.
And you're still raising kids you're still raising kids too, right?
Yeah,
so
well, my two oldest daughters, they're going to be 23 here pretty soon, and then my youngest one just graduated 8th grade, so she'll be a freshman in high school.
Yeah, and that's you've always retained a youngness, you know what I mean? With, you know, a lot of people when they become grandparents, they haven't been a parent in, you know, 10, 15, 20 years, you know what I mean? So it makes, you can see how they're like, you know, but no, that's amazing.
I'm still practicing patience, and like you said, I'm finding Zen still. I'm still looking for it.
We're all trying, man.
It's a journey, dude. I'm telling you.
Dude, I know every time I come to see you, you know, we start out complaining, and then it ends with gratitude, and we're all happy to, you know what I mean? It's always funny. I have the exact same motions in my mind, you know, all the time. So obviously the shop's been shut down, right?
Yeah.
For months at this point. How is that whole thing going?
This is our 14th week being out of work. You know, at first I thought, well, you know, with all the training that they make us do and all the money we pay to like get all these like certifications and to license the studio, things like that to be legit, the price you got to pay to be legit or whatever. They're going to know that we have that training, and they're going to take that into consideration when it comes time to put us in a phase where we can open up and probably not be shut down as long. And now we're in phase 3. They're saying we're phase 3, but then the guy is like, oh, but more like the end of phase 3. And I'm like, so, I mean, really that's phase 4. That's not phase 3. Phase 3 starts when phase 3 starts.
Right.
There is like late phase 3. Like nobody even knows what that is. Like nobody even knows when they can travel normally again and stuff. It's like, how can you say that? They don't.
What else is shut down? What else is shut down right now?
Okay, so nail salon. They said that, like, you know, like nail salons and wineries. Ooh, I don't know what I'll fucking do without that.
Oh no!
But
Yeah.
I have I just got done listening to the radio and I checked out this one thing that was on the news, and they were saying that movie theaters and restaurants are at like 25% capacity, and I'm thinking, the fact that I'm trained in like bloodborne pathogens, cross-contamination prevention, I'm able to create like a sterile work environment. It's a one-on-one thing. I don't understand why people can go sit in the movie theater and swap the air and touch the handles on the chairs in a public place like that.
Yeah.
Not only that, why you can stroll through Walmart with no mask, fucking breathing everyone's farts.
Yeah, Walmart and Target and everywhere else where, people are frequently going nowadays, and they're all standing next to each other like nothing's wrong anymore. So, and I still can't open my business. And so, my knee-jerk reaction to that is like, cool, if you want me to pay my licensing fee, how about you just charge me half since you closed me for half the year? You get half your fucking, and once you put the spin on it with them, they're just more like, no, it's our way or the highway kind of attitude, So I feel like there's a couple of people, and I have been talking to some dudes who are heavy hitters in tattooing. They're like talking about like some class action lawsuit. So things like that, if they don't actually motivate and do things properly. Otherwise, all the training they're forcing us to like, present them with certificates for, which is like before we even had to deal with the health department 10 years ago, we were doing that shit anyway, voluntarily, because we want to have accountability for how professional we claim to be when we say those kind of things. And we have to back that up with paperwork. So when the health department stepped in, they basically are like, trying to enforce that. But it's like, you don't have to enforce something that didn't need the force in the first place. We already do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, you guys are experts in this field, literally. I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, the guys that do you do what you do properly. I mean, you guys, I guarantee when a health official talks to you, you could be like, no, that's not how that works.
I've been doing my job longer than he's been doing his.
Yeah, 100%.
99% of the time. So
yeah, it's got to be the most frustrating thing on earth.
They want to come look at your stuff, and then they want to lord it over you a little bit because you need their signature to move forward, to pass go or whatever. And then they want to say something like, I just think you guys need a sink over there with hot water. And it's like, we have one on the other side of that wall. It's like literally like around the other side of the wall. Like you just walk around the wall and go to it, and like, but they have to say something to validate their existence. You know what I mean? Because like, they really don't know.
Yeah.
They have a rough blueprint. And then every time they go inspect the studio, they like to take their own take on it. Like all of a sudden they become your interior designer, and they want to see how much money you're willing to spend so that they can come back and get their egos stroked and see what you've done. All of our studios, of the people that I know professionally that I go into, are all basically set up the same. We have a clean area for taking like all of our waste and everything, so where people don't even go in there. That's like our sterile room. Mm-hmm. You go in there, you don't go in there without gloves or a smock or sleeves on, these plastic sleeves and stuff. Face shield when you're cleaning stuff in there. It's closed off. There's a door that shuts. It's not even open to the rest of the shop. It has its own ventilator system that goes out the roof. And on top of that, we just have like, everyone has like hand sanitizer, soaps. There's an exposed sink in each room. There's just, above and beyond what you would probably expect when people tell me, oh dude, your shop's closed, just come tattoo at my house. I'm like, you know why I won't do that, right? Because there's a lot, if you've been to my shop, you know why I won't come tattoo you at your house. There's a lot more to it than just squirting some ink out on your coffee table and tattooing you and throwing it in the garbage.
Tattoo shops are one of the cleanest environments I've been in.
Yeah,
one of the most sterile, clean environments.
My dental assistant was like grabbing the x-ray and touching the light switch for the x-ray and putting her hand back in my mouth, and I was like, the hell are you doing?
Yeah,
your hand's clean. You got to. I think a lot of people have this like misinterpretation of like, you have a glove on and all of a sudden now there's like this magic force field around your body.
Right.
That you're now. And the funny part about it is, how many of you, I know you guys, bear with me here, dude, this is going to sound funny, but it fucking happens to all of us. We all get those emails where they want you to either help you with your college debt or sell you Viagra, right? You get spammed all the fucking time with this bullshit. How come these motherfuckers want everyone to wear a mask and gloves out in public and do all this shit, and they don't send a fucking video out through a mass email to show people how to properly wear this shit and how to put it on?
Yeah.
Because when I'm watching dudes take their glove off like this, and then they grab the fingertips on this side and go like that,
done.
I'm just like, oh, awesome.
Yeah.
There's some leadership in action. Good job, Nancy.
Or
But
dude, you watch our officials tell you read this thing off, and she's going, licking the paper while she's doing it, and you're like, no, it's just, or there's pictures of the leader of the health. It's like the health squad in LA, and the chick literally looks like
Beetlejuice,
like Nosferatu. You know what I mean? You're like,
Beetlejuice,
how
man.
are you the leader of the health division or whatever? Like, it's insane.
Are people coming around to your shop right now or anything like that? Have people come in, like health department people? Like, has there been any kind of?
We've been emailing them nonstop, trying to get like some kind of idea of like what our guidelines are going to be for reopening, what we can do to get a jump on it, so that they say we can do it, we can actually just flip the lights on and open the door. But we've all been met. I even like knew this was going to be a mistake, but I sat down and actually wrote a fucking letter to him.
Yeah.
I spent my time putting it together so that I knew what was going to happen. I'm like, it's going to be a fucking coin toss. And I did. I got the fucking standard reply letter. You know what I mean? So it's like they keep fucking with me. And when they come do the inspection on my shop, I'll be in compliance, but I'm also going to fucking dog the shit out of whoever's there. Right. You know what I mean?
Well, make sure you do it as soon as he signs that. Wait till as soon as he signs it. Yeah.
I mean, everything he asks me is going to get met with an educated answer, and then I'm going to ask him shit that he can't answer.
Yeah.
And basically, the way of getting out of dealing with those guys is just basically with information. And
you're completely right too, because dealing with the construction world, an inspector is never one time going to come into an area and be like, looks good. Never. It's never happened. There's always something, and it's because you're right. You have to justify your fucking existence. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, if this guy came back from your shop and went, they're good, he'd be like, no, there's no way. You know what I mean? It's they have to think of shit, but
I learned a long time ago about the inspectors, man, because when I was younger and I had saved up a pile of money, man, and there was this house in my old area where I grew up that had gone into default, and then they repoed the house and they were reselling it, and all I needed was to come up with $3,000 and I could put a down payment and get it. So I saved up all this money and I went and bought this house. But then in order to like get through the escrow and the whole 9 yards, there's this dude you got to hire that's, a home inspector. He's got to come and look at everything and make sure it works. Mm-hmm. This motherfucker came to my house and went through my entire house, went up on the roof, did all this shit, right? Came back, oh, hey, everything looks great. It's all blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, I'm buying this house. He says everything's great. That's what I hired this guy for. That's why you have to have this dude.
Yeah.
I bought the house in spring. And then by the time, it started getting warmer like it is now, I was like, oh, I want to fire up that air conditioner. So I go over to turn on the swamp cooler, right? Mm-hmm. And I hit pump and I'm doing all the stuff I got to do. And then I hit it and I don't hear anything. I'm like, is this thing working? Oh, wow. I wonder what's going on. Well, my cousin's ex-husband was an air conditioning guy. I go, hey, can you come over and help me take a look at my AC? Like, yeah, we jump up on the roof. And, it's one of those big block swamp coolers that sits on the – we pulled the side gate off of that thing. There was nothing in there, dude. It was
nothing in it. No wheel.
No guts. No hamster wheel or whatever.
You just have to go.
None of that shit was in there. Oh, yeah, dude, totally. I was laughing so hard. I can't believe I paid this asshole $1,200 to come over to my house and tell me everything was fine. He went up on the roof and looked around the neighborhood a little bit and then came back down.
Was on. Fuck this guy.
Yeah, totally.
That's insane.
That's very AV. That's very AV.
Sure.
Yeah, pay me. Bye.
Yeah.
Pay me. Bye.
So, obviously with now the corona's wrapping up, right? And apparently it doesn't exist anymore and the whole, you know what I mean? It's everyone's acting as if it never happened.
No. Actually, this is something that I want to talk about. This is something that's annoying the shit out of me. Okay, so like everyone is like on the fucking computer and everything, like the fucking media is just blowing it up. The media is fucking, doing all this thing, which like they're reporting on what's happening. And now the media is not reporting on it because obviously there's, they have to move on from shit. There's other shit going on. You can't just focus on one thing because everyone's freaking out.
Wait, there's other stuff going on?
Everyone's freaking out that the media is blowing up this thing. But if you look at the numbers now, everyone's going like, well, coronavirus is gone. The only reason people are saying coronavirus is gone is because the media is not reporting on it.
Right.
This is like the cult of this is like the media cult that we live in this country.
So it's like, you know what I mean? Like, look, like the media is the media. The media has always been a thing where you have to look at it and go, okay, where are we really? You know what I mean? Like, you have to take your own educated guess, whatever that is, through what you've done in life, you know, but the media needs to report on it so that you know what's happening. If the media doesn't report on it,
the coronavirus is a real thing,
gone.
man. I'm in constant contact with the women that I know that are my clients that are nurses that were working in these ERs when it first happened. And I was like, I had questions coming out of my ears. And I'm like, I need to know answers because, first of all, I'm real easy to get into like a conspiracy theory on some shit. Yeah. So I will fall in that rabbit hole.
That rabbit hole's deep, bro.
Yeah, fucking A, you will. You'll rabbit hole the best of us.
And then the sensible side of me was like, call somebody that works in the fucking hospital and ask them. So I did. And I got a lot of answers and I learned a lot of things about coronavirus that I didn't know before that wasn't really, you know, accessible information. So it's real and you do got to be careful. And there is shit out there that will get you sick. And there's a lot of people that are vulnerable to it. It depends on you at the time when you get exposed to it too. Like you can be a totally healthy young man and then all of a sudden that changes.
For me, I've been frustrated lately with just the whole, like, everyone being like, oh, well, now coronavirus is done because the media is not. I'm not saying that we're saying that.
Oh, no, I hear you.
Like, everyone's going like, oh, what happened to coronavirus?
Right.
Yeah,
well,
all of a sudden, like,
the person that is saying what happened to coronavirus was the person that was bitching that fucking coronavirus was all over the news.
Oh, totally. Right. Yeah. Hey,
you know what I mean? They're like, the media is making up all this shit. No, they're not making it up. They're fucking reporting on it.
You know the cure for coronavirus is, right?
No, what is it?
It's a riot.
Joke. Yeah, I knew it was coming there. I was like, wait for it.
Oh God, that is one thing I miss the most is the ridiculous amount of jokes in the fucking 10,000 Waves fucking studio.
Right.
It is like
I got a Christmas called Dad Jokes, and I've been taking.
Joe. Like I said, Joe's been tattooing me for 20 years now. And it's just been a fucking barrage of dad tattoo jokes. Ever since fucking Psycho City to everywhere else. And it's just like, and that was a perfect one right there.
Right. I mean, there's no way you're going to get a tattoo from Joe and not hear at least 3 to 5 fucking dad jokes.
Oh my
like
God.
Good ones though, you know, not your typical dad jokes, you know.
I can't tell you how many times we have to stop tattooing because we're laughing so hard.
Totally, dude. Totally. You know, that's the best part of that. That's one of the best parts about it, though, is like, you know, like all the things that we know, like we can actually get away with at work when we're doing that stuff. You know, we just have a good time with it, and you know, I miss that. I miss being around everybody. I miss all the ball busting and all the shit talking and all the funny stuff that we say to each other, and you know, taking like serious things that are happening in the world, but making jokes out of them because that's how we get through our day. You know what I mean?
That's what you
not
do.
That they're not serious, but we take advantage of making fun of everybody.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's you know, you think about that. I was thinking about that the other day. You know, it was like your tattoo shop specifically, you know, is really a beacon of fucking free speech and what really America is. You know what I mean? Like, you're allowed to. I mean, obviously, you come in saying some racist shit, you're gonna get punched, but. You know, I mean, you're allowed to skirt the line of what's fucking right or not woke or what, you know what I mean? And we can have, have had incredible conversations and hopefully a lot of tattoo shops are like that, you know, but I do miss that place where it is almost like a safe space for free thinkers. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you meet a tattooer that's like, you're kind of an intolerable prick, you know what I mean? But you got a good point, you know what I mean? Like, it's pretty amazing. We
talk like that to each other pretty regularly. It's pretty awesome. If we disagree with each other, it more or less turns into like a free-for-all joke for like maybe a few days. Right. You know, like if somebody puts their foot in their mouth, man, we will roast them like for the week.
You ain't living it down. You're getting a nickname.
It might even come up again next month. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or every time you come in to get a tattoo, you know?
Totally.
Yeah. You guys crack me up. It's always a good time. Always.
Yeah, we want to have a good time. That's what's been robbing us of our happiness now, is like being robbed of that good time, you know?
Yeah. Well, and it's cool too because you guys deal with I mean, obviously many years ago tattoos were for fucking outlaws, right? You know what I mean? Back when you were starting, it was bikers and prison guys and shit like that. But now the spectrum of people that get tattoos is so huge. So you get to see, I mean, I can imagine all walks of life, every fucking person with a different opinion, a different background, police officers to military to some fucking punk that just got out of jail. You know,
Yeah,
I mean, to be able to hear that perspective is helpful, you know?
Yeah, my whole take on that is also like a media-driven, a way the media has driven people in somewhat of like an opinionated, like, you know, herd in a way where, you know, back when I started getting tattooed in the mid to late 80s, it was definitely part of like a subculture. There was like something going on there that was, you were going to be tattooed and then you were going to experience social moments of adversity and things like that with the cops and with the old lady at the grocery store and with people who had small children that were staring at you, and being young and being in the high desert and, you know, having like, you know, half your head shaved and a sleeveless shirt with a tattoo on your arm basically meant fucking don't talk to me. You know, I'm not part of your bullshit crew. I don't want to have nothing to do with your society and your idea of what we're supposed to live like. And, you know, we were all just kind of against that, you know, and then all of a sudden, man, it was like I got into the tattoo shop and I started realizing, you know, like, you know, okay, now I'm tattooing like dudes that I went to, you know, like I went to like grade school with that were like kids I'd known for a really long time, kids that grew up on the ranch or kids from the boys' home. And I was tattooing those guys and, you know, doing all these different walks of life, you know, like you said, the prisoner guy, you know, the prison guard guy, you know, like they were all coming in. So you learn all these different kinds. And then all of a sudden, like, we didn't expect it, man. We were doing all right. You know, we were working, we were pretty steady. It was a walk-in style shop. We were near a military facility. We had military contractors in town, construction guys, because people were flooding into town to work for the military construction things that were going on with the airplanes and stuff. But we had all that going on. And then all of a sudden, like in 2003, like tattooing became a TV show. And then it really changed. I mean, it opened up our audience because people who would never typically walk into a tattoo shop, now there was a tattoo shop you could watch in your living room on a weeknight and like get some kind of exposure to what people thought a tattoo shop was like. I mean, that tattoo shop was nothing like the one I was working at. You know, the one I was working at was like next door to a gay bar. And then there was like the construction guys bar was like a little ways down at the Tipsy Bowl. And then across the street, we had Maxton's where all the aerospace dudes were at. And then after 8 o'clock, it was all the young folks who were in there. And, you know, we had a pretty eclectic corner of Avenue I in Lancaster there that was all kind of our own personal like satellite, you know, for all these different walks of life, you know. As
someone for me who like obviously wasn't affiliated with the tattoo shop, but I would go there and hang out and like, you know, everyone like the movement and the people that were hanging out there at that time, it was like that tattoo shop was a beacon of badassness in like the valley, in the Antelope Valley where we grew up. Like, it was a beacon of, like, that's where you go if you want to be badass. If you're badass, you kind of hang out there. Like, you know, just saying as, like, a young kid, like, it was always like, dude, that's the shit right there. You know, for me at least.
I mean, I've learned so much from just that experience of being there. It was like you could go there and there'd be choppers parked out front, or there'd be, like, you know, all kinds of old cars parked in the back.
Flamethrowers, come on.
Yeah, dude, I remember like, you know, the Rolling 60s came in there one night and they all wanted to get tattooed, and then they got me so fucking stoned, man. I was like trying so hard to tattoo these guys. And man, that was like a regular occurrence, you know, that like, you know, 5 or 6 dudes from a certain group or faction in town would show up and get tattooed, and we'd hang out with them and tattoo them, and they were always cool with us. And our shop never got vandalized, and we never got any shit.
It was always respected.
Everybody who came in there, no matter what, if they were enemies or if they knew each other or they didn't like each other or whatever, when people came in there to get tattooed, they were just there to like come hang out, listen to the music, get tattooed, hear all the shit talking, the jokes, check out the motorcycles, the cars. You know, we always had the music up loud. Everybody was always having like a pretty good time there. It was kind of also, like you said earlier.
And at that time, it was the only place like that in the Antelope Valley.
Yeah, because everything else is very.
It's not like now. It's not like now where, like, I mean, this is even before Hot Topic came to the mall and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, that shop was it. That was like the spot, the underground, cool spot. You wanted to go hang out. At least people like me. Not everybody. You know what I mean? But
then it was weird, you know, because we had this thing, and then when the TV shows came out. Now we're like doing like little tattoos on like soccer moms who would have never came in the tattoo shop, which was great for business because we met a lot of other people that like, you know, hey, now they know who we are. They know what it's really like here. Like we're not you know, we're gnarly, but we're not that gnarly, you know. But you know, it also opened up the door to like a lot of other things that were really uncomfortable for me. Like all of a sudden now I'm like hearing people's problems and like
you became a therapist.
It really changed the dynamic because on the show, you know, they push for like these like stories. You tattoo have a story. Well, I think people that wanted to get tattooed thought, oh, well, I have to have a story or I can't get this tattoo.
I gotta go talk about it.
It would turn into this thing. And I worked with a guy that used to love that shit because he would take those stories and he would just twist them all up while he was talking to him and just give them the craziest feedback. And the
they're not even sure why they're getting a tattoo now.
Oh man. And it's so rad.
Like another thing, like what Joe said though, like everyone was nice there. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like there's obviously a few people where it was like, okay, you're a little bit. there's always going to be that in this environment, you know, or at least back then. You know what I mean? When like everyone's a little off their rocker. We don't get into this because we're like, oh, this is a clear path of like us. You know what I mean? Like,
well, we like, for sure like to like kind of like live by that like mantra of like we give what we get. You give what you get. Too. And if someone gives you respect, you just give it back. And if someone gives you shit, you give it back. And that was just the way we ran the shop. That was the way we operated over there.
That shop was always. Yeah.
I mean, I remember when John took me to you for the first time, and you know, I had been in a few shops and never ever felt comfortable. You know what I mean? And I know the guy or whatever, but it just you guys created an environment where there was a very clear cut like line, not for like saying anything, but like. You don't come in and act like a fucking kook. You know what I mean? But obviously we're here to have fun. We're here to do this thing. But like you specifically for me created a culture where I was like, oh, dude, I feel comfortable here. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think it was something that was missing definitely from Ventura where I grew up. I mean, I half grew up there and then I half grew up in Ventura. Where in Ventura, you went to the ink house and it was done by a Hell's Angel and you weren't fucking sure you were going to get the thing you wanted. You know what I mean? Because there was only one tattoo shop allowed in Ventura, and it was by the fucking Hells Angels. You know what I mean? And so I had never felt comfortable in a shop ever in my life until I met you guys, you know, down in Roseman when you had that shop.
Right.
You know, and I just thought when I walked in, I thought, fuck, this is a home, dude. I mean, this is a home for someone. But also you could tell very quickly that there is a underlying set of values and rules that you don't fucking come into the shop acting like a moron, you know what I mean? Because you're gonna get booed. It's quick, you know, like, and so what it does is it weeds out the idiots.
You'll get called out real quick. You'll get
exactly. You know, fucking quick. I've never felt like that before.
We've shown people out, you know. We've had.
I couldn't imagine that you wouldn't, you know. I mean,
but we had a couple of fun moments there doing that shit. Won't talk about it too much, but yeah, I mean, you know, I always tell people you haven't really worked at a tattoo shop till you've actually had to physically throw somebody out of.
Oh yeah, I can't. I mean, I couldn't imagine not. And you know, I actually wanted to ask when you brought up the story thing, like. It's something, especially with those shows. It's just everything has to have the ultimate meaning. You know what I mean? How do you feel about that, dude? I mean.
I'm like,
are you allowed to appreciate art for art on your body, or do you have to fucking have a meaning?
It has to have a meaning.
I mean, there's just something to be said for a cool like eagle holding a skull or something.
Right.
It doesn't mean shit. That shit's just badass.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a fucking cool, tough shit. You know, like when I got tattooed, it was because dudes like Harley Flanagan and like Roger Merritt were my heroes, and like those dudes like had like crucifixes and gargoyles tattooed across their chest, and you know, Vinny Stigma's got like this crazy winged serpent on his chest. And when I would go see like Agnostic Front or the Cro-Mags or something, these guys were covered in tattoos that were, I didn't know if they had meaning or not, because back then I didn't give a shit. I just thought that's the toughest looking fucking tattoo I've ever seen. If I was to go to the public pool and take my shirt off, motherfuckers would only stay in that one end of the pool. I would have this end all to myself because it was that gnarly, you know? That was the 16-year-old me saying that, you know? And that's the path I went down. That was what I wanted to. That was what I wanted out of what I wanted to like get my point across, but I also wanted people to fucking understand like I wasn't gonna get crossed, you know?
Right.
So being tattooed was a way for me to like separate myself from the masses, you know, and be like, I'm not like you, I don't want to be like you, and this is a permanent statement that says I am never gonna be like you. And that's what it meant to me when I started getting tattooed. It was just ultimate rebellion.
That is definitely what drew me to tattoos was the this is who I am. I'm not like you. We're not the same. Let's just keep it like that. You know what I mean? Not like in like a tough guy way, but more of just like I don't want to be a part of that society. I want to be a part of this society.
Yeah.
I remember like when tattoos, like when that whole boom hit, I remember me and a few friends would, people would walk around and go like, oh, cool, like, oh, like, oh my God, like you like Good Charlotte and stuff like that, cool, you know what I mean? And I would just be like, I just remember me and my friends being like, we're gonna tattoo lines. We're gonna tattoo lines on our faces, just so everyone knows we are not fucking like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, and that's just like us being young and obviously we're older. It's like not that big of a deal, whatever.
Right.
But, like that was our response to that whole thing. It's like, we're gonna tattoo lines on our faces so you can know that.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the generation gap was like, I'm a little older than you guys, so like the dudes that were like punk rock and tattooed, I think were a little cooler than the Good Charlotte dudes were when they came out, because they were like commercially successful and they had tattoos. So all of a sudden, everybody wanted to lump everybody in with that. You know?
Well, and it's like my first question now when I see someone sees your tattoo is, oh, that's cool. What's it mean? And you're like, oh, I ain't even fucking doing this today. You know what I mean? It means I love singing. I don't know.
One of my older buddies goes, you know what this tattoo means? And the guy goes, what? And he goes, it means it's on me. So shut the fuck up.
It means don't fucking talk to me anymore. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, there's obviously I have reasons I have tattoos. There's meanings behind them, but do I need to overly explain it to fucking everybody? No, dude, it's art.
Having a tattoo is not doing a job interview. If someone looks at it and they like it, you either say, hey, nice tattoo, or just don't say anything at all. But it's like spending 20 minutes with a stranger having to explain why you're tattooed or whatever.
Oh my God. Okay, so I have a funny story. I have a funny story since we're talking about this. So I've started a new job in the COVID world, because the music industry is
right
down there with the I think the music industry is below the tattoo industry.
You know what I mean?
That's actually probably the last thing coming back.
That's one of the jobs with my job that's on the list that says concerts and gatherings.
Yeah. Like I'm just like So anyway, there was this guy that worked here. He only worked here for a couple weeks, but I came walking in the shop one day and he's like, oh, hey man. He goes, oh, I like your tattoos. Who does your tattoos? And I'm like, Jojo, and because I'm in Lancaster, so I'm just like, Jojo. And he goes, oh, really? That's tight. I'm like, oh, you know him? He goes, no, I don't know who that is. And I'm like,
okay. Yeah.
Jesus Christ, dude.
He just loves the fact that you have tattoos, man.
He just loves it. Yeah. It was like the same. I'm just like, God, okay. It's pretty ridiculous.
Okay, that is awesome.
That's crazy. So I remember, we've been trying to do this for a good couple weeks now, obviously with work schedules and stuff, but I wanted to ask, you had to cancel because you were actually going to like protect the shop from all the protesters, the rioters. You know what I mean? So I wanted to, what happened with that?
We went down there and we went to the shop and we just kind of like just started getting everything kind of ready in case, just because, for a few days before that, we saw what was kind of happening down in Santa Monica and Long Beach and stuff. And I was like, I don't know if it's going to happen here, but we don't want to take a chance, So we went down there, we went to the protest, drove back and forth in front of the Van Nuys courthouse a few times and checked it out. It was pretty peaceful for the most part. There was no instigators there.
You mean there was no cops?
Yeah, I'm talking about like just both sides. This seemed like they were both just kind of, and I was kind of like, well, I don't know, man. It might be pretty chill. So we went back over to the shop and hung out for a while. Everybody got on the roof, just kind of kicked it, and then I don't know, by 9:30 at night, it was just like a ghost town there. So they said it had already like disbanded. There was a few people that had broke the windows out of the Chase Bank and like a car dealership. That was the most that happened.
Right.
So it seemed pretty. For what I was seeing for a couple of days before that, it seemed okay. What I was like, and this might sound like, I don't know how it sounds, but for like 30 years, I've been like building up this business and shit. Yeah. But I'm like, look, motherfuckers, I'm down for your cause. I'm down.
Yeah.
Don't fuck me up.
Right.
I want you to come get tattooed. I don't want to have to fucking have my, know your enemy, man. A lot of these dudes are like not knowing their enemy. They're hitting the mom and pop spots. It's like, that's not your enemy. Your enemy's the federal building, the bank building, the fucking city hall, the fucking courthouse. Why the fuck you fucking with?
Yeah, if you're gonna destroy something, make it some public fucking property. You know what I mean?
If Antifa was an actual organization, you could maybe get that. You could maybe
hold on. You know it is.
You can maybe
George Soros is doing this.
You could maybe pipe it through and go, look,
is that guy still alive?
But
he looks like a dead person who's got their hand.
I still keep
They keep him. They keep like 16-year-old virgins in a closet for him. He just sucks the blood out of them before he leaves the house. But yeah, I mean that's a fucked up part. It's like we went to the protest in Ventura. And it was to over 2,000 people, peaceful. You know what I mean? Like there was one instance where a dickhead ran through the crowd with his car. And no one really got that hurt, but it's turned into a big fucking deal in Ventura now. But and that's the thing. It's like you couldn't fucking kneel to protest. You can't. You know what I mean? You see all these things. Like you weren't allowed to do these things. You know what I mean? But watching that video is. And even when you talk to a fucking anyone that doesn't even agree with the protests, it's like, dude, you can't watch a fucking guy die for 8.5 minutes and not feel one way about it. Not die, be murdered.
Like, why do you think people are so angry? I go, because every time they watch the news, they got to watch another 8 minutes in a row of a looping video of a guy fucking getting choked to death. And it's fucking young. When young people see that, it fucks their head up. Older people feel helpless and it creates anxiety because they have younger people in their life they care about. Right. And, I mean, this whole thing with the COVID-19, everybody's boxed up for 2 months. A lot of people are on unemployment and they have time to do things. And then these guys are like trying to like do this thing. And it's become like a circus in a way, because I feel like there's a way to organize it in a sense and get the point across. I feel like there's just a lot of people that don't really understand because the young emotions run hot. And I know I was there, man. I wasn't no innocent kid. When I was mad when I was a kid, I broke shit. I did shit.
Dude, 20 years ago, I would have been one of those little assholes. You know what I mean? I absolutely would have. I'll be the first to admit it.
I can relate to it because I was there. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I just feel like, I don't know, man. I think that things are changing. We're going to see a different world from here on out. This whole incident and things that are happening right now are changing the way our country's going to run from today forward forever.
I certainly hope so. And that's one thing, it's like, first of all, I know it's like hard for white people to say like Black Lives Matter, it's like all lives matter. It's like you're a fucking moron. I mean, I'm saying not us, obviously.
I hear you.
But it's you see people literally crawling out of their skin because they can't even come to grips with identifying with what's happening, and it's like that shit's gonna go away. You're gonna eventually, this is going to go away, and you're on the wrong side of fucking history. And it's going to fucking change. It's going to change. You got a whole world movement coming. And there's nothing wrong with it. You know what I mean? Like,
I think a lot of young white people also don't understand that, like, this is a Black Lives Matter thing and we're like their guest at their event. You know what I mean? It's like we're really not.
Yeah. I have.
And we really don't understand that we want to stand with them, even though we don't really understand. I've never grew up with racism, dude. Like, I had friends that were all different cultures that experienced racism, and I only know it through their story. You know what I mean? I don't know it through my own personal story because I've never dealt with racism, So yeah, I can get on the side of fuck racism. I'm anti-racism.
Right.
But I also feel like I'm also not going to fucking break windows and spray paint BLM on shit because that's not my fucking place to do that. You know what I mean?
Well, and it does is devalue the movement. You know what I mean? Yeah, there's a reason fucking Martin Luther King's peaceful fucking movement changed the world. You know what I mean? It's because when you
look, I understand that, but nothing fucking gets done by kneeling.
Oh, 100%. But they didn't kneel. They marched. They fucking made their voices heard. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm not. Look at bro. I'm all for stealing and breaking shit. That's part of my DNA.
Like Martin Luther King did his shit, but then Malcolm X did it a different way. You know what I mean? It's like Martin Luther King is the one that everyone focuses on, but there was other shit going down. There was shit going down in that time.
100%.
Wasn't just Martin Luther King. And like I said, I don't necessarily like when I think of like the looting and the rioting and all that, I'm not going to go jump in the middle of it, but I understand the anger.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I understand like
there's angry people, but I also think there's a lot of people that didn't give a shit about George Floyd that were in that too, dude.
Well, and here's the difference. We have to make a distinction between the rioting and the looting. Rioting, I understand. I absolutely get the anger, the rage, wanting to fucking burn cop cars. I understand. The looting is just people taking an opportunity to get free shit. You know what I mean? And so I get the rioting, absolutely,
Rioting, and if you notice, the reason rioting and looting hasn't happened this week is because the cops have stood down.
100%.
The ones that, I bet you none of that shit would have happened the first week if the cops just would have stood back and been like, let them fucking be pissed.
Or if the cops didn't start it themselves. You know what I mean? We've all seen the video of that pig fucking breaking the AutoZone windows. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, the initial knee-jerk reaction is fear. And, you know, the people that aren't really involved, who are like standing on the other side of the television set watching all this happen, are scared. Right. So this is why that reaction was the initial reaction.
Well, I heard someone bring up an incredible point, you know, the other day. It was like white people are so scared of black guys, you know, or black people, like inherently, you know, for whatever reason, that even when this guy was on the ground, fucking detained, completely under control, and I think it was an absolute act of hate, this guy was still so afraid of this fucking black guy, you know, for whatever his own racist bullshit, that he didn't get up off of it. You know what I mean? And it's like that shit is burned into our DNA. You know what I mean? And I've had to, like, as a person that's personally punched fucking Nazis in the face, you know, and had them thrown out of our shows. And, you know, I sat back and really had to really do like a check on myself and go like, what are my hangups? You know what I mean? Like do I have weird shit in me that comes out, and we've all said dumb shit, you know what I mean? Or whatever. Obviously, you know, but I really think it's not enough to be okay with the movement and behind it. You have to be actively, really, I think we all need to be really searching our own self for our own hangups, you know, even as an anti-racist.
I saw a thing earlier, a black woman had said, she goes, being anti-racism doesn't mean that you're free of racism and you might still be learning. But being anti-racism is like a mindset that means you're planning on continuing the work, which is the important part. And I thought that made a lot of sense, and I thought that was awesome.
Do you guys watch John Oliver?
I don't. I like him a lot.
You know what, dude?
When I see it.
I'm just gonna say we don't even have television stations in this house. Like we just try not to.
I know you got a smart. I'm sure you got a smart TV.
I got a smart TV, and it's smarter than I am. I'm like, cool, man. I want to watch Disney. I just want to watch The Mandalorian like 300 times.
There's a good he, on his last episode, he has at the end of it, he plays like a 3-minute clip of this woman who's just pissed, and she just goes off on just like, you know, fuck your Walmart, fuck your Targets, like this whole, you know, I'm not even gonna try to like say what she said. Maybe we'll link it on the Get Heavy page or something that played at the end of it. But it's like watching this and then like understanding that like that's one person being this pissed off in like you know what I mean? It's like you get it. Like I understand why people are pissed, and like this is what they have to do. You know what I mean? Like we can't necessarily agree on every form of how they do it, but there's shrapnel and everything.
You know? I got a kid. There's a kid I know in tattooing. He's out in Virginia, and he sent me a message was maybe a week ago. It was right when I went down to the shop, actually, I think, to like kind of help, you know, get stuff out of the windows that we could put stuff up just so it didn't look like, you know, an open invitation. Because our windows, you know, the front windows of the shop are just huge glass panels.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah.
And a friend of mine had put up a post about how he was like, you know, I'm not really sure in my position he goes, I'm not into racism, but I definitely don't know what to say. So until I find something, I guess, educated to say, or I have something smart to say, I'm going to stay silent until I can say something, because I feel like what I'm saying is wrong, you know? And I wrote on there that I agreed with him. And then my friend in Virginia, who's he's a person of color and everything. Hey, what's up?
Hey. They're all saying hi to you, Rosie.
Hi.
I'll take a vodka soda.
Thank you.
Come on over. Thank you.
Yeah.
But he had sent me a message, you know, saying, hey, you know, like,
thank you, babe.
You're someone I look up to, and I have in the tattoo world for a really long time, and we know each other online here, and we communicate quite a bit. I really like his work. I think for a young person, he's exceptional, and I've commented and talked to him on a number of occasions. He wrote me this heartfelt response of just like being really disappointed in me agreeing with this guy's post because he didn't agree with it, and he had said some things to me in this post that like made me think about it, and it tugged on my heartstrings pretty hard, and I thought, oh my God, I just had to think about it for a minute. Like, I shouldn't even be commenting on other people's posts unless I'm really fucking putting some thought into what I'm going to say right now, because this is a time where people are really people are really looking for a direction to move in without, you know, this is a very like a touchy subject, and I'm saying I got to approach it with more compassion than just going, hey, I agree with that. Fuck yeah. You know, I think about what I say before I say it type thing. And that's my job as an older person and as a more, you know, like someone that this person's looking up to as someone to like show him, you know what I mean? And so what I did is I let him down, and he had let me know that. And I told him, I'm going to go on there. I'm going to retract my comment. And then I'm going to say why I did. Mm-hmm. And then I'm going to make it right, dude. And then I'm going to step back, and I'm going to wait to talk to you, and I'm going to get right with it myself and educate myself and get as much as I can on it. Yeah. And so he's all, no, leave it up. It's okay. He was kind of upset, I could tell. And I said, no, I'm going to do it, and we'll talk about it some other time. You know, it's fine. You know, you've told me that how you felt, and I agree with you. So I went on my other buddy's thing. I deleted my comment, and then I said why, and I posted, and I said, if your choice is silence, that's your choice. Everyone's got the freedom to make that choice. That's your choice. I go, I really can't. I can't be like a huge political voice in it, because I just articulately don't know how I'm going to do that right now, but I'm going to do what I know how to do, and that's music. So I started promoting music that I think speaks for me in that sense. Sure. For right now. You know what I mean? Right, and so and then Daryl read my reply and hit me back and was like, dang, dude, you did that. Like, I mean, I respect that, you know, and like me and him talked about it, and I'm waiting for a phone call from him, but you know, man, it was like when you have somebody that you know personally, like reach out and hit you, it's a lot different, you know what I mean? Because it wasn't like I was just catching flack from like random strangers online. You know, I had made a couple of posts, and I had random people like policing me on the internet, you know, already. Like all of a sudden now I got to take 15 minutes out of my day to like, you know, get into a debate on this person when we're clearly in the same lane, going the same fucking direction.
Right.
And now I'm getting told that I'm not doing that right because somebody's more, you know, I don't know. It's just where I come from. I just like, don't fucking out snob me on your fucking, you know, on your platform. Right. You know what I mean? It's like, we're all here together, man. Just everyone does their own way, you know, as long as we're in the same fucking trail, heading the same direction. But you know, it was like, you know, when he said that to me, man, it just woke me up a little bit more and made me just look into it a little deeper. And now I'm spending more time, you know, with my kids are very passionate about it. So like I talk to them, and I see the things that they're, you know, showing me on the internet and stuff. And
I mean, we're always learning. We're always
I'm a work in progress.
You're always, I mean, that's, you know what I mean? And that's why I've considered you one of my best friends for a lot of time, is that we have, I have these conversations with you all the time. And it's like, I feel like whenever me and you talk, we're always talking about bettering ourselves. Right. Whatever experience we're going through is like, okay, you know what I mean? Like we're never like, fuck it, we're big dick. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's always like, oh, fuck, you know what I mean? Like, oh, this happened. I wish I did this better. And I wish, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying we're always like talking down about ourselves, but we're not like, we're always learning.
Well, you know? I think that's inherently in our culture being involved in, you know, punk rock and shit too. It's like, you know that we are, the way we think has been on the outskirts of fucking the regular world for many, many years. You know what I mean? And it's just so now that the conversation is switching to where it really is shit we've been talking about for a long time. Not that we're cool or anything like that.
All of a sudden, it's really cool to hate cops.
Well, yeah, you know, it's like, well, fucking hating cops because I hate these motherfuckers. You know, but you know, but what you do see is that the world's gray, and you know, and with the what in response to what you're saying, you know, it's like we post. Everyone has a platform, dude. We post pictures of our food and fucking argue over nothing. And it's like, and there is a point where I'm starting to think like your silence of, not yours, but you know, when people choose to not say a fucking word, it's like, dude, what are you doing, man? Like, okay, be for it or against it or whatever, but like it's on us to really reconsider and reevaluate our position here, because I really do think that like not taking a position right now is, and I was never really someone to buy into that type of shit, but I really think it's like, man, you owe it to yourself and the people around you to really try to construct some way to, you know,
I've
say,
always had this position.
I'm way out of my element.
Forever. I've always been anti-racist, and I've always had this position. It's just hard for me to articulate like something to put in a post on social media.
So like not a conversation, but like a post. Yeah.
How do you put it in 120 characters?
Yeah, and then I got like 1,000 people that, you know, are going to read it. And then I got like, you know, 5 people that want to come back and like educate me on like what I'm doing wrong.
Of
and
course.
And I'm just like, okay, man, like I've kind of like in my own dickhead way, because I am punk rock. I'm like, fuck you, man. Like, you ain't fucking telling you how to racist. I was anti-racist when your mama was still fucking wiping your ass. You know what I mean? I don't know. I just get that weird asshole mentality comes back to me where I'm like, fuck you, don't tell me what to do. You know?
I can find it so fast, dude. I can find that shit so fast.
But also in this day and age, we also have to, as we're getting older, we have to understand that things change over time, and we have to like, you know what I mean? Like, not necessarily go with it, but like, I don't know, I guess go with it. You know what I mean? But like, understand that tides are changing.
Yeah.
And
you know, the young people are the ones that are showing me all this stuff, to be honest.
My daughter, Scout, my daughter all fucking day really like, and in this last couple months has really like opened my eyes to how much she is paying attention. You know what I mean? And you know, when you have these conversations with your kids, and our kids are very close to the same age, you know, you know, I'm constantly shocked at how easy it is for them to grasp these things. You know what I mean? Like, you know, Scout tells me, you know, she thinks she likes girls, and I'm like, cool, whatever. You know what I mean? Like that. But that conversation wouldn't have happened with my parent. You know, if I told my parents I fucking like boys, they'd be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You know what I mean? But it's like, you learn these things, and what you're finding is your kids are, you know, this is the first generation that I really have a lot of hope for, dude. Like my kids and your kids' generation, and John, your kids, you know, like really, our kids are fucking smart, dude, and they're aware and they're conscious.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I have to fall back and go, you know, I mean, just like I said to Daryl in Virginia and like my own kids, I said, you know, I'm just an old dog still learning new tricks myself. I mean, I'm not some like authority on like everything, you know.
There's no way you can be.
There's 1 or 2 things in my life I know I'm pretty good authority on, and they're not very useful as far as like social construct with other people. So,
my mom is in her 60s, and she was just showing me a new book that she's listening to on tape, and it's like about like teaching her about white supremacy and like what it is like in the community.
Systematic fucking
my mom's
white.
One of those people. My mom's one of those people, like, love my mom, but she's like one of those people that goes like, wait, you're trying to tell me that the Ku Klux Klan is still a thing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, where she's like, wait a minute, there's, you know, like, I remember one time, like, I have a checkered past, but one time I was talking to her when I was younger, and she's like, I was talking about like drug use, and I was like, you know, getting into some stuff, and I'm kind of losing it. She goes, wait a minute, people still do cocaine? You know, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, you know what I mean? Like, and it's like, but this has even opened up her eyes, where like she has her Zoom friends, and they're all like, they have like every week they try to give themselves a new book to listen to that week, and this week they're listening to White Supremacy and Me. You know what I mean? Like, what is it? You know, like basically like teaching them what racism is.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're in their fucking 60s.
Yeah, that's amazing. Like, I mean, that's amazing.
You have to always learn. And the thing is, like, the older people, you know, I mean, granted, they're on their way out in some way, shape, or form, but you got to learn. You know what I mean? Like, you got to learn.
Well, it's great. I mean, yeah, and the ones that aren't, the ones that are refusing, the ones that are, you know, all these, it's like, yeah, okay, that's fine. You want to be like that, no problem, but you're on the wrong side of history. That's for sure. You know what I mean? It doesn't fucking matter, because in 20 years, your generation will die out. Yeah. And guess what? All these fucking kids are going to run this world, and your great America that you think was so fucking fun, where you could call a black guy the N-word at will, you know, or whatever. It's gone, brother. It's fucking gone, you know. Good luck.
Fuck that. You know, it's weird, man. I think about it in a weird way too. I'm like, what are we going to be mad about after, if it's all gone at one point? What are we going to be mad about anymore?
Oh, we'll find plenty of reasons.
Fucking the Joker and Batman, you know, they need each other to fucking exist.
Yeah.
Rock just going to fucking disappear, man.
Like, it'll be fine, dude. I mean, you know, and here's one of my fears.
Else that, I mean, maybe alien invasion or something. Who knows?
Well, here's one of my big fears. I've been thinking about this a lot. Is, okay, you know, this movement has legs, and there's shit happening, and it's, you know, I'm going to say it's way above what the Occupy movement was. You know what I mean? Because it is real life or death shit. But what happened in the Occupy movement? what happened in the Occupy movement? Really strong start. The government gave a little, and we went, cool, good enough. And everyone shit the fucking bed.
Well, see,
you know what I mean?
Right now, everyone's unemployed.
Yeah, but they won't be soon. You know what I mean?
If I didn't have a job,
soon.
if I didn't have a job, I would be out there.
Right.
I've never seen this many people in the street for anything, and then all of a sudden, tuning into like other countries and seeing other countries also doing it. And I just thought, man, this.
I mean, America looked like Europe there for a while. You know, with like the protesting and all that stuff. I mean.
Yeah.
No, and I love it. I love it. But my biggest fear is for this shit, the government to give you just enough to stop fucking bitching and stop getting in the streets. And then it goes back to fucking, it slowly creeps back. And that's what I want to avoid.
I mean, if you've noticed over the last week, the news reports or like, the helicopters hanging out above protests aren't there anymore. It's not on the news really anymore. It's not like it's like every waking second, but it's still happening.
Oh yeah, it is.
I mean, like, I don't think this is going away anytime soon, especially.
I hope not.
Especially with Trumpito and his fucking
Trumpelstiltskin.
How he just cannot.
Oh yeah.
Not like he just flames the whatever. He just fucking
fans the fire.
Yeah. He stokes the fire.
Well, and that's true. Like, I mean, it's
I think every president is dog shit, including Obama, and I voted for fucking Obama.
Yeah.
Okay, but Obama's fucking dog shit. He's a fucking president. All presidents are dog shit in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
But he is going to fucking just like with the election year coming, it's not going to end.
Well, and that's here, and I'm thinking past that, right? So Trump does get out, and now Biden's in office, which is the man that wrote the fucking Crime Bill Act and referred to black people as super predators.
Yeah, but
you know what I mean? And
but also at the exact same time, in part of our conversation we were talking about is maybe he learned.
Well, absolutely. But did the rest of these
though, man, I'm not going to give any politician. I don't give any politician any rope, man, because like they're all frauds and they're all cowards. And like 90% of them are in it for themselves.
Right.
And when it comes to a guy like Joe Biden, I would hope that like maybe his son or daughter or whoever's in his life would tap him on the shoulder and just go, "Dad, you're drunk. Let's go home." You know what I mean? Because the dude can't even put a paragraph together. Trump's a bully. He's out of that dude's out of his depth on a lot of things that he talks about.
Much. I mean, you saw it with that. You guys see that tweet about the old man?
Totally. Yeah, the 75-year-old super soldiers that Antifa's breeding.
Wow. I was like, holy shit.
Antifa has better equipment than the fucking CIA.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, this 75-year-old man thing that he tweeted was definitely showing like his understanding of the world in a really very small.
What I was saying about that is that okay, so what I was saying about the president thing is like we in the end fucking the world needs someone, America, whatever, it needs someone to stand up there and go, we all need to chill the fuck out.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, not saying that that's what is going to happen or that is what should happen, but if someone was up there and going like, hey, we're going to fucking listen to everybody.
Yeah.
We're going to listen to you guys.
Yeah.
Trump is up there just going like, fuck these guys.
Right.
This is dog shit. And who's going to fucking stop that? Like, oh, okay, we'll go home now.
Well, that's what I want. That's what I want. I want us to keep that energy. Keep that energy up. Take this shit to the election. And then not only that, well, not only that, when it fucking happens, the election either goes one way or the other. Hell, we need to the way we do this is by getting these morons out of office, voting for people that actually fucking care. You know what I mean? Like, that's the way we shift this. And I want everyone to remember this shit, that just getting Trump out of office isn't enough. You know what I mean? It's not enough.
I also hate to be that conspiracy guy, but I also have this weird notion that like, I just don't feel like voting really is as effective as it used to be, or
not at all.
Of it. I feel like it's a tradition.
The DNC has proved that twice with Bernie Sanders.
I feel like if they didn't let us vote, people would get even more mad because they didn't have a say so. But I feel like, I've talked to people that were like, this helicopter took off and the ballots were like still on it when they announced the winner last year for the 2 years ago for the governor's off. And I was like, oh, and then, I'm hearing things from very credible sources. I won't drop any info on where I get them from, but let me just say the guy who was there, it just sucks hearing that shit. You know what I mean? And then you hear about it. And then the gas tax thing, you know, I don't know anyone in California that voted for that. I mean, everyone has to drive it unless you live in San Francisco.
Right.
Like we all have to have cars and go places. Nobody
I did vote
for
for it, but yeah.
Yeah, I didn't. I didn't vote to pass it.
But it helps my industry
we already
directly.
have infrastructure taxes that we pay and other things that they're stealing money from. But
Right.
this is politics. You know what I mean? They're going to find money that's not being spent the way that they want it spent. They're going to funnel it out, and then they're going to create a new tax that's just going to replenish that purpose that it was not used for.
I mean, it's all
I just feel like
monopoly.
they already know it's going to pass, even if it didn't.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I will say one thing about that gas tax. The SB1 thing that went through, there was very strict stipulations in there that said this has to be used for road work. And we have over well, I'm just saying, we have over almost $1 billion.
Sorry, there was
dude, we have $1 billion of work coming down in Ventura County this next year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That is a one thing where it actually was used for what it was supposed to be used for. 100% I agree with you on everything, but that was the one instance where you're like, oh, fuck, it worked. Watch out. You know?
I know. It's just,
like, damn.
It's always like a thing with the politicians with like the lottery and how the money was supposed to be used for schools. And now,
they steal it all the time.
And metal shop and auto shop and all these things are being removed from schools. And now kids are like, you know, they don't want kids to learn how to build something. They want to learn how to buy something. And it's like, this is a consumer mindset that they're brainwashing, I think, our young people with, because it's like going to be up to like other people to teach them skills outside. You know, there's some kids that don't have those outlets that go to school that could take wood shop and learn how to like, you know, a skill, you know, and those things are being removed from school. Even music is being removed from school. So, you know, there you go.
I mean, like I said, I agree 100%, but I know that one worked. I was like, oh, because I'm a union fucking operator, bro. And it really helped. It helped road work. We got $1 billion worth of fucking work coming in just Ventura. You know what I mean? And
I'm glad to hear it from somebody who's personally involved in that, because I always feel like those are credible.
Every other time, 99
my
points
feet about it, and I would probably never run into anybody that knows any different until you know, and then of course your job, you know about that. So
and then hey, did they probably steal a little off the top? They fucking probably did. You know what I mean? But it's like, but yeah, and that's a cool thing too. Is like what, you know, it's just like my hopes for this whole thing is obviously change in the policing, changing all these things. Let's fucking get these morons out of government. But now our young people are realizing what makes the difference. And that's when you're fucking pissed, the most American shit you can do is get out in the streets and fucking voice your opinion. You know what I mean?
There was a guy reading a law on the radio. I think it was yesterday morning. I was listening to the talk radio, and the guy was reading a law that the police in Camden, New Jersey, they had a system there where they redid their police structure. And I thought, man, that's actually pretty cool. I checked out their population. It's only like 79,000. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not
Camden's not a good neighborhood over there either.
But what they did is they brought in guys that they just took out of the academy. And what they did is they drove them around. They like dropped them off in the neighborhoods, and they would go door to door and introduce themselves to the people in the houses and like get like a rapport going with the neighborhood. And what they're saying now is that the kids, the grown-ups, and the police all know each other, and they all have like there's actually like a lot of like really positive interaction that goes on there with them because of this like relationship establishing thing that they've created, where it doesn't turn into, you know, dropping some dudes in a hot zone that are like unfamiliar with where they're at, for one, because they're not from there, and number two, it's like this thing, and then it just becomes a panic situation, and it you know, and causes bad shit to happen. Obviously, I mean, there's a lot of other reasons, but I'm glossing over the top of that and saying that the story that this guy had was pretty interesting, to say the least, because I haven't heard a positive thing about a positive police story in a very long time. So you know,
well, and that's the thing, you know, it's like I'm seeing the defund the police, and I understand that it's not about abolishing the police, but it's about transferring funds to, you know, our police doesn't need to be fucking militarized. You know what I mean? They don't need to be military. I know exactly where you're going, John.
No. There's tons of crimes. There's tons of crimes that don't need to be, that aren't worth the police's.
Oh yeah, drug crime, shit like that.
And
the tweakers and shit are responsible for that, dude. Like fucking meth heads and shit are calling the cops all the fucking time because they're peeking out their shutters, and there's a dude standing outside and they're freaked out, and it's nothing. Yeah. They're the ones that are firing them dudes up. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I mean, and that was another thing. Personally, because I lived in a neighborhood that was like, it was always like that there. There was never really anything going on, but there was always some like presence there because people were on the phone like requesting like, you know, police to come because something weird was going on. It ended up being nothing, you know?
Okay. I have kind of a funny police story.
Let's hear it.
That has happened to me recently. before all of this, no, during COVID. Okay. So, I live in a house where the house next to me is pretty much abandoned, right? So, yeah. I mean, might as well tell the story. Why not? So the house is pretty much abandoned, right? Not pretty much. It is abandoned. It's been abandoned for 5 years. It's overgrown as shit. You know what I mean? Just like whatever. Well, the night before that, what I'm gonna tell, my roommate's car got broken into. You know, he just texted me. He's like, "Hey, my car got broken into. Just want to let you know, ruffled around. I don't know if anything's stolen. Whatever." Okay. So fast forward to the next day. I come home, and I'm in the backyard on the phone, and I hear people in the yard next to me, right? And I'm just like, dude, you know what I mean? Like, and the thing is, like, I'm just like, I don't want shady, like my roommate's car just got broken into. Like, I'll go over there and fuck some, you know what I mean? Like, whatever. I just don't want to, whatever. So,
Yeah.
So then I'm just like, shit, okay, I hear people over there. I go to my roommate. I'm like, yo, I hear people over there. What do you think we should do? And he's like, I don't know. I'm like, should I call the cops? And I'm like, you know, I'm like, I don't want them to necessarily do anything, but I want to create a record. You know what I mean? Like, I want to create, like, in case something does go down or in case something keeps happening. Like, hey, I called, and you know what I mean? Like, and I'm like, my roommate's like, are you really talking to me about calling the fucking cops right now? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, is that what we should do? You know what I mean? Like, this or that? He goes, I can't believe you're talking about calling the cops. And I'm like, I'm not going to call 911. I'll call the police number. You know, so I call, like, just the non-emergency number. And I'm like, hey, you know, my roommate's car got broken into. I hear people next door. Like, I'm just trying to kind of, like, do the right thing. So, like, we can get our stolen property back if a bunch of stolen property comes up or you find it somewhere. You know what I mean? So, okay, yeah, we'll get someone out to you. So then, like, I proceed to eat some mushrooms. Okay. So, like, I eat some mushrooms. I'm just chilling at home. I take a shower. It's, like, kind of warm that night. I'm just, like, taking a shower, eating a little bit of mushrooms, shrooming a little bit. And then I just get in bed, just naked, right? Just get in bed, and I'm just like, blah, blah, blah. Just, like, don't even think about anything. And then I'm like, I'm laying there, and I'm like, shit, did I lock my door? Did I lock the door to my car? And then I'm thinking about, like, the people breaking into the car, you know what I mean? And I'm just like, and, like, I have a door in my bedroom that goes to my driveway, because, like, that's how it is. So my car's parked right outside my door, and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna jump out there real quick and lock my door and jump back in. I go and open the door, and I jump out, and there's 2 cops walking down my driveway. And I'm fucking naked. I'm naked on fucking mushrooms. And I'm just like, and I jump back in. Like, the car was blocking me. They didn't see me or anything like that. But I know they heard me. And I jump back in. And I'm, oh, shit, the cops outside.
Oh, dude, I can totally see it.
Yeah. So then I'm like, I go, and I'm looking for my pants. I pick up my pants. I put my pants on, and my pants are inside out. So I have inside out
pockets
pants
are
on.
hanging out.
My pockets are hanging out, and I go outside and I talk to the cops. And I talk to the cops for like 2 minutes, and I'm just like, hey, yeah, like this or that, you know, like, and they're just like, okay.
Eyes are like, whoa.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I would have let him in my backyard and been like, hey, you know, go flashlight and shit like that. Then I was like, all right, cool, man, I'm gonna go. Let me know if you hear anything.
Dude, that's amazing. Yeah.
So there you go.
Oh, dude, that's awesome.
I mean, it could be very well the first time you've ever called the cops ever in your life.
That beats.
No,
I got some funny. I got some
first time I ever called the cops
with the police, but that's actually pretty
awesome. It's out there, bro.
Naked on mushrooms.
Yeah.
Hard to beat it.
Well, fuck, I think that's a good place to end it, man. Jojo, thank you so much for coming on, man. It's been a pleasure.
Cool,
we'll have to get you on again when the shop comes open. Also, I'm gonna need some tattoos. But
all right.
Please, can you let us know where to find you, follow you, whatever you want to promote?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram. It's just Jojo Ackermann. I'm on Facebook. It's also just Jojo Ackermann. And then the shop is 10,000 Waves Tattoo. And we're in Sherman Oaks, right off of Ventura Boulevard and Woodman Avenue. And yeah, the phone number there is 818-849-5317.
Hopefully taking appointments soon, right? Yeah.
Hopefully, yeah, man. There's a petition online to open up tattoo shops in Southern California. So
yeah, we'll put a link to it on our page too. So
yeah, you guys want to get that
spread the word, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, I don't know how much the petitions help, but I mean, it shows that people are unified and trying to make them listen. So
yeah,
hopefully, you know,
we'll see what happens, man. All right, brother. Well, thanks.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on, dude.
Jojo, I love you.
Love
Good to see you, bro.
Man.